Hey everybody, welcome to Season 4 of What's IGN Crashing On. I'm Karen Walby-Solomon and I'm your host, and we're here to talk about what's hot in pop culture. Hey, welcome to episode 2 of Season 4 of What's IGN Crashing On. For a minute there I forgot which episode we're on. But we have a great show today. We're joined by Mvelase Peppetta, who is a very active person on social media when it comes to pop culture. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So what is your favorite sort of like celeb pop culture thing to chat about? Because, I mean, I see you talk about everything.
Yes. There's nothing that I have opinions on just about everything. There's very little that I will not pass an opinion on. There's a saying that my mother loves to say. I'm translating it from Xhosa now, but a fly that passes in front of my face, I'm going to answer it. And that's how generally how I go about with everything that piece of news or information, pop culture or real news that comes across me. I'm always like, oh wait, I have an opinion about that. So trying to decide what a favorite is a little bit difficult.
I was going to say, I remember your article that you wrote about the Windsors are not the real royal family. The Kardashians are.
The Kardashians.
You're like, who needs the Windsors?
Yeah.
I was you know what? He's right.
Yeah, I mean, the way I saw it is they're both really incredibly rich families who do nothing. And, well, at least, but the Kardashians do something. The Windsors consider work, go to open an art gallery or visit some charity organization. That's like, oh, look, I've done one day of work. I'm like, come on, that is not work. I mean, putting together those lip liners that Kylie does, I mean, she steals them from everyone, but that is some kind of work. She's stealing, but it's work.
Cheap bathing costumes, Kim's out here with Balenciaga, Chloe giving us drama weekly. I mean, they're hustling, guys. They're hustling.
They just also started out stealing. But now they don't need to do it anymore.
They're living off the interest of all the stolen wealth. The Kardashians are still out there hustling, stealing.
Oh man, I love these rich white people. So I know we didn't talk about this before the time, but Queen Elizabeth just made an announcement that Camilla is gonna be she wants Camilla to be queen.
Yeah, no, it's been ever since Prince Charles and Camilla married, I think back in 2005, I can't remember exactly, but when they got married, there's that question of what Camilla's title would be once Prince Charles sees the throne has been an ongoing thing. At the time when they got married, it was announced that Camilla would be known as Princess Consort when Charles becomes king. But legally she would have been queen, but she wouldn't use the title. She'd go by Princess Consort and probably still carry on being referred to as either Princess Camilla or the Duchess of Cornwall. But then there's been, in the years since, the affection for, well, this is pre-crown. You've got to put it pre the crown. Yeah. Because everything changed when the crown came out. Then people started warming up towards Camilla. And then people were accepting, okay, this is Charles' wife. He clearly loves her. He's loved her his entire life. And they were happy. So her opinion in the British public, her esteem in the British public, I should say, grew and grew. But then the crown, particularly the seasons with Camilla, came out. And that whole mess. A whole new generation of people suddenly learned about everything that had happened between Charles, Camilla, and Diana. And everyone was infuriated. And Camilla was she was just being trashed and dragged. It was the 90s all over again. And and I feel sorry for it. It's not over because the next season of The Crown obviously is going to be the season where the divorce. There's that recording with Charles and Camilla where they having some kind of incredibly sexually charged conversation over the phone, which leaked to the media. It's very embarrassing. I can't imagine the Crown is going to leave that out. And then obviously Diana's death. So, and that's just, it's going to be horrible for Camilla. However, the Queen is incredibly popular in the United Kingdom. So for her to come out and say that she would like Camilla to be given that title of Queen Consort, it shuts down that question once and for all, because once the Queen says it, and she says it now while she's still alive, people are going to accept it when Charles enacts that as king. He says that Camilla is my queen.
But I also think, the fact that Diana was not queen also sort of softens the blow, because she never got the Princess of Wales title because Diana had that, and it would have caused too much of an uproar. But because Diana never had the Queen Consort title, she can, she'll be the first one in recent times to have that title.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that softens the blow, but I still think that's they're on their way out. I
also have this feeling that things are going to be, when the Queen dies, the British royal family is going to be in for a very, very difficult period, because a lot of the reason, I personally don't think the Queen has been that great as the head of that family. They have endured such, and it's not that the scandals aren't created by the Queen herself, but the scandals from the time of Princess Margaret wanting to marry Group Captain Armstrong, I forget what his name, but like right after, when she it was trying to force people to do things they don't want to do. They keep on making the same mistakes again and again. She's gonna be queen now for 70 years, and they're still making those same mistakes. Once Prince Charles takes over the throne, because he's nowhere near as popular as Queen Elizabeth is, I don't know what will happen to them, because it's been Queen Elizabeth's popularity that has been propping up the monarchy all these years.
I also don't think that the rest of them, there's not enough affection about them, but also that there's enough interest in them. I don't think, I think William and Kate have a slight interest, but I don't think it's in as much as the Queen. And I think what the Queen also did was that, she was queen for so long, and
70 years today.
She's sort of
when we're recording,
and she's adapted so much to the modern times, etc. So she, she's sort of I think the people are just used to her being there. But once she dies, people are going to be I think they're going to start thinking, what is the point? Because
why do we?
why are we just paying for these people to live a lifestyle that we don't care about? I feel once the interest in the royal family wanes, the people won't be. Meghan and Harry leaving is already, they might have been interested in them. I don't know. Yeah. They might not have if they had stayed. But and I also thought that William and Kate might have a bit of interest, but now I'm I feel there's people that will be their fans. There's people that are fans of any rich people. So it's fine. You can be rich. Like the royals of other European countries that don't have they aren't officially a part anymore, but they just live as rich heirs and rich lords in different places.
Some of the royals, in the other European royal families, they're nowhere near as covered, it seems, as closely. There are a couple of on TikTok that I've started following, these two women, one's Canadian, one's American, who very closely follow all the royal families, and that includes the Japanese imperial family, the European royal families, and obviously the British royal family. So I've been learning a lot about some of the stuff that's happened with that goes on with the other royal families, and there's a lot of scandal there as well, particularly the Spanish royal family. That is a mess. But it's nowhere near, the public interest in them is nowhere near as massive as with the British royals. And like you say, once the Queen goes, and if there are no quote unquote celebrities to push the royal family brand, because Kate and William are kind of down low, not down low, just a little bit. They're not as out there as the era of if Princess Diana was still a member of the royal family, she had massive press interest in her. But what's going to happen after? Guess they got to try hold on, and maybe George and all the little ones will be interesting when they grow older.
I don't think it will last till them. I don't think so. But I don't think they'll get their time in the sun. They'll probably maybe in the Sun newspaper.
Yeah, it's difficult. I feel the same way, but at the same time, I studied history, so I always look towards it. I mean, the British royal family has literally come back from being deposed. Britain was a republic for some time, and they managed to claw their way back into power.
Yeah.
So I'm wary to bet against the British royals.
Okay.
The British royals.
Okay. Okay, so then let's talk about our other royals, the Kardashians, who also have a bit of drama this week. Kanye posted on Instagram that he was complaining about North being on TikTok, and then Kim responded back saying, she's the main parent. And she tries to help North reflect her creativity any way that she can.
And
then
everything
he complained about.
Yeah, and she said that it's always like she supervises her North's use of TikTok, all that stuff, which I absolutely believe her. I totally believe. So there was that one clip. I think she went live on Instagram. North somehow managed to grab a phone, and Kim's lying in bed watching TV, and North is live, and she runs into Kim's bedroom, and she's like, "Haha, I'm live on Instagram," and Kim's like, "Are you joking?" And then she's like, "No, I really am live," and Kim like. Kind of just like any mother would, she's like, "You're not allowed to do that," and she tries to grab it. She's like, "Get that phone away from her!" And then the live went off. But I do believe Kim. I think when I remember at the time when Donda was coming out, Kanye's album Donda, and you remember he was doing those massive listening parties in stadiums across in the US, and there was the one where Kim went. I think she went to most of them, if not all of them. But there was the one where she went out. She was part of the show. In a wedding dress, in a wedding gown. This is after they've announced that they're divorcing. And I was like, this is very peculiar behavior. But then I thought about it.
Yeah.
Kanye is a very, very volatile person. Obviously, he's got his mental health issues, which which aren't being treated whatsoever. But at the same time, for Kim, when she has to, from her perspective, she has to consider the fact that he is the father of her children. And they were getting divorced. She needs to sort out the logistics. It's not going to be about money. It's mainly going to be the main concern for her. Probably would have been custodial arrangements. I thought that Kim was indulging Kanye in doing all these very peculiar things, and after they had officially split up as a couple. But then what happens? Kim gets together with Pete. Kanye, what I think is going on is that Kanye, he thought, okay, fine, we can get divorced, whatever. Kim is carrying on. She does all the things that I wanted to do. Great. But Kim's obviously she's moving on with her life. She's a single woman except not legally, because I believe the divorce hasn't been finalized. But then that ticked off Kanye when he saw that Kim actually is moving on with her life. And even though he didn't want her to be with Pete, he couldn't stop her. So this is why he's now making these issues about North being on TikTok. He may actually, I do believe perhaps believe that it is an issue for him that his daughter's on social media. But does it have to be such a massive issue that he's railing about it in the public? I think the main issue is him losing control of Kim, and now he's trying to exert that control on Kim through this North on TikTok issue. Kim also is now she's obviously gotten to a point where it seems like she's fed up. Yeah. She's tired of she can't indulge him. She can't keep him calm. So that's why she finally spoke up against because she's been really, really quiet about all the things that he's been saying up to now. Because he said a lot of crazy stuff about her. There was that he was threatening a sex tape. There was another sex tape. He said that he had
EJ.
Yeah, and Kim said nothing about that. But now she's standing up for herself and saying, no, this is from my perspective. This is what's going on, and I think she's absolutely right. However, in all of that, I think Kanye is it's kind of an abusive relationship that he's trying to maintain control over Kim. But at the same time, I cannot stop thinking about the fact when Kim and Kanye got together at the beginning of their relationship. The stuff that Kanye said about Amber Rose.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that.
And Kim stood by him, and he said terrible things. I think the one that sticks in my mind is the one he said he had to shower. I don't know how many times, multiple times, before he could have sex with Kim, because he had to wash Amber off himself. And I was like, that it was deeply misogynistic statements that he said, and Kim stood there and said nothing. and now the tables have turned. All that horrible dark energy that Kanye had been directing at Amber Rose is now directed at her. So I mean, I pity her for the situation that she's in, but I do see that, like, well, you kind of placed yourself in this situation, because that was a red flag. Right at the beginning of that relationship, you shouldn't be like, if a man can speak this way about another woman, one day he's going to turn around and do it to me as well.
Yeah.
He could turn around and do it to me, which is what has happened.
I also think it's not just the fact that it's the lack of control. It's also because, remember, he went through that phase of going, we need to get back together, you need to come home, we need to be a family. And I think her rejecting him and then standing on her own is probably also part of what triggered it, because it was truly the end.
No, that does sound about right.
And yeah, I also think, like, I also think he has a valid reason to be concerned about North on TikTok and stuff, like, because he probably doesn't know how much she monitors what he does, what North does, but
What not?
but I, like, obviously it's just, why must you make it so public, man? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, we don't need to. Somebody said, it's like, I feel like I'm in the living room with watching them shouting at each other.
Exactly.
And it's
It's like, I was like literally watching a movie last night, and this guy started dating another guy, and on their first date, and he bumps into his stepmother, who he has a horrible relationship with, and I was like, oh, these are such bad situations to be in, where two family members are going at each other, and you're there as a third party, and you don't know, like, how do you react in that in that situation? And it's like, and that's what it feels like we're in with this Kim and Kanye situation. We're all party to this whole thing, because everything's happening on a public platform. It's all happening publicly. Where these are very rich people. They have lawyers who are meant to like mediate these kind of things. But
Kanye's third lawyer.
Yeah, it's just, and the really sad part about it is that one day North and all the rest of the kids are gonna grow up, and they're gonna read about all of the stuff that was going on at the time of their parents' divorce, and it's like, how's that gonna affect someone?
It's like, I always think back. I think we're all around the same age, but like when Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger got divorced, and it was quite a messy divorce, and he called, like, their daughter Aiden, like, a pig and all of this stuff. And I'm like, this is like, everybody knew how your father treated you. And she made fun of it at his roast, but like everybody knows about this. And it's such a things, nobody knows what happens in your relationship. Things might get, might be warmed up and that sort of thing. But yeah, like, Kanye made it so public, and like, I get that he wants to hurt Kim, or he wants to hurt the Kardashians, but like, how is that going to affect his children, who are the most important?
This was before their divorce, but I still can't believe that Kanye publicly said that he wanted Kim to abort North. Like, how is that? I don't know how as a person you'd feel knowing that your father, who presumably you love, and because Kanye seems to have a very good relationship with his children. But like, when your mother was pregnant with you, he didn't want you. Like, that's I don't know how you deal with something like that.
I don't know, Shem. That's a situation that they need to sort out with all of us on Instagram, apparently.
They can get Dr. Yana Van Zandt, like, Jan, like, they'll do like a live, and everyone will sit there and watch, including us.
Group therapy session.
Imagine the viewership for that. It'll be more than like the round table. Like, everybody would watch that. I'm surprised Jada didn't say, like, Kanye can bring it to the round table.
I'm waiting for it at this point. The way he's...
Oh, yeah.
When she said, I must bring myself to the table, was my favorite line ever. Like, was the whole pandemic. I need to take myself to the table. Oh my God, my favorite. Okay, so talking about difficult situations, Thandiwe Newton recently, she was interviewed about her new film, and she basically spoke about her struggles as a light-skinned woman. um, I'm not to say that light skinned women don't have problems, but I mean, she was basically saying that she felt discriminated against by darker skinned people, and
Darker
she
skinned woman specifically.
oh, darker skinned women, yeah, darker skinned
She
women,
said that
darker
again
skinned
and
black
again.
women. And she felt like if they made her feel as if she was taking their roles, taking their men. I know we all laughed about this big. Leanne and I were laughing a lot because
Her
we were
being
like,
the
"Oh,
chosen
you only go
one.
for white men." But okay, taking your men, all of this stuff, and she's also black, and her mother's dark, and all of these things, and she was crying on in this video, it was actually very difficult to watch. Like I mean, it's like a normal interview with like Entertainment Tonight. It's not like she was doing a live or anything like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what this movie's about, but like, surely it can't be this harmful. Like, what is happening? um, but yeah, but shame, she seems to be going
Yeah,
through
no,
the
she
works.
is, yeah, she's going through a lot. Yeah, go, we'd say, Thandiwe, poor Thandiwe. Someone tweeted, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But someone tweeted that she's the tragic mulatto, and I'm like, oh gosh, that is horrible, but I'm laughing at it.
But I feel like she's been going through it, because before this outburst, in recent years, like, she's come out and spoken about like the way she's been sexualized or treated on sets, and the reason she took a break, and the types of roles that she would be put up for, and how. And so I think like there is just like a lot of underlying issues that she's been
Mm,
like dealing with within the industry and her journey in the industry. And I think I don't it gives me someone who hasn't dealt with it appropriately, and so
mm.
you're dealing with it in the wrong, like, because that was not the platform, that was not the time, that was
Yeah.
not the place. But clearly there's a lot of stuff bubbling under the surface, and like it needs to come out, you know.
She needs to work through it.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I think I agree with you. It seems as though she's
Mm,
someone who feels very deeply, and
Mm.
mm,
in that feeling very deeply, it just comes out in very strange ways, and in strange circumstances and times. So, because I mean, she was just doing an all press interview with AP about this new movie, and then all of a sudden she goes on this tangent that is very, very peculiar, to put it
mm,
kindly. Because I mean, I feel sorry for her, because clearly she is going through something, and she's feeling a lot of
mm,
things. And in fact, in terms of what you were saying, Leanne, about how her feelings about the film industry, she's also said that this is going to be her last acting role, this in
oh,
a movie. So I mean, maybe, I don't know how true that is, whether it will truly be her last acting role, because we've seen a lot of celebrities retire and then they keep on working. Um,
Mm.
but I mean, that's what she's feeling right now. Clearly, there's a lot going on with her, but it doesn't excuse the things she said, because it was just so bizarre. I mean, for her to repeatedly place the main instigators of prejudice against her as Black American, dark skinned American, Black woman. That was, I mean, like, really? That's who you're gonna think are gonna be the main problem in this, in the way you've been treated as a light skinned woman. And
mm,
then, I also watched like a wider, some other parts of that interview, and she also says some really strange things in it. She's trying to remember now what it was. I had it in my head and now it's totally gone. But it's it's just a very peculiar thing that's going on. I mean, and while I have sympathy for whatever it is that she's going through, it is
mm.
also just not cool, not right.
Yeah, because she hasn't tried to look at, okay, if she feels discriminated against by darker skinned black women, what is the reason why? Why are they discriminating against her? What is the society standards that has put her in that place? And why is she challenging them and not challenging that? And
The
why is she the
system,
chosen one?
this is yeah,
Yeah.
why
Why is she
the
treated
system of
better than a mother?
it's
Why? Like,
yeah. I mean, oh yeah, now I just remember what is in the rest of the interview she said. She said that the other clips that I saw. She said that when she first came to the US, started working in the film industry in the US, she'd considered herself a dark skinned woman, because in
mm,
America, in the UK, she's dark skinned. And I'm like, excuse me? In the UK, you are dark skinned. I mean, Daniel Kaluuya is like in the UK.
Yes.
How can you look at Daniel Kaluuya and look at yourself? How can you look at your mother and look at yourself and say that you are dark skinned? That just makes no sense whatsoever.
And the poor Zimbabweans are like, we are going through it, Thandiwe, please. Stop putting us in the eyes. Stop it.
At least it wasn't a South African for once.
Yeah.
We stay being embarrassing.
And like, oh no, you can also see what it's like. At least it's not Pearl Tusi saying something.
Oh my gosh, yeah. At least with
I'm surprised she didn't. I'm surprised she didn't say, "I understand you, Thandiwe."
Pearl to see the smartest thing that she did this week is saying absolutely nothing about the Thandiwe situation.
Yeah.
That is the smartest decision she made.
Someone took her phone and was like, "Girl."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What about my Cairo? Anyway. And also, okay, so maybe a little bit of good news. I don't know how you feel about it, but Rihanna announced this week. Well, she announced like just after we recorded the last episode that she is pregnant with her first child with young ASAP Rocky. I mean, I'm happy for her.
No, I'm happy for her. She's happy. She's very happy with ASAP Rocky. He's not exactly. If I were the one who's like in control of Rihanna's life, he's not the one I would have chosen. But I'm not. Rihanna is her own person. She gets to love. She gets to choose whoever she wants to create a life with, and she's chosen to be with ASAP Rocky, and that is entirely her prerogative, and I'm fine with that. Which is where I had a lot of issues with some of the reaction to Rihanna's pregnancy announcement, because it seemed to me a lot of people, particularly Rihanna fans, the Navy, were very, very upset that she's having a baby with ASAP. They've never liked him for her, understandably so, because he has said some very problematic things about colors and things. He said stuff about Black Lives Matter, just like his politics from, I mean, these are things that were said fairly recently, but they are in the past that are troublesome. So I can understand why people don't want that for Rihanna. But Rihanna if you are a fan of Rihanna, the way I see it, you don't have to ascribe to every single decision that she makes in her life. If she wants to be with ASAP and you don't like that, you can be like, well, you know what? That is part of Rihanna's life that I'm not going to engage with. But otherwise, I like her for her music. Well, I personally think she's mainly a lingerie saleswoman at this point. Like you can engage with her on all the other things that you love about Rihanna. You can engage with her other things, but like just ignore the ASAP Rocky thing and then let her live her life because she's her own person. We don't have a right to own Rihanna's choices. She gets to live her own life as a person.
That is so true, and that's like the right thing to say. I don't even want to add to that because that's perfect. But I'm also like, I know that she's been wanting to have a baby for a long time. So, I mean, I'm happy for her, and she looks really happy. I mean, I must say, like, I was an ASAP fan before all the problematic things, so I was very disappointed with him. But she looks happy. So, I mean, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors if they do have a happy relationship. But this is, as you said, this is the life that she has chose for herself, and who are we to say that she's right or wrong? Although, like Stans will say, except for Nikki. Nikki is wrong.
Ever since the cousin's friends balls situation,
she's wrong.
I think both of you guys are right. It's her life, and she gets to do whatever she wants. The funniest tweet for me was someone going, "She's gonna name the baby Album," because we're never getting new music out of her.
No, literally the first thing when I saw those pictures of like the pregnancy announcement pictures, the first thing I thought was like, oh, that album, like maybe 2023 at this point or 2024. The album that's been close to coming for at least 3 years at this point.
It is mad, but the thing is that I know she has recording because I know there was a South African artist who's on the album and he's recorded his parts already. And he's like, come back home. So there's sections, and I've seen in like the blinds and stuff like that. They said that there are like people that have recorded, but so this section's done. She just needs to finish the album, and it
Yeah,
seems like she's in no rush.
but she said, I remember when they were doing the press tour for Ocean's 8.
Oh my
She actually
gosh.
said, like in the press tour, because when she finally answered questions about it, she's like, no, she's been in studio, she's done some stuff. It's going to be very different from what she's done before, and she's still working on it. I mean, that was like years ago. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what every time she has to do press for any project that she's doing, her lingerie or her makeup, because those are her projects pretty
Yeah.
much at this point. She gets asked about the album, and that is always her answer. And it's been years that she's been giving the same answer. That like it's almost done. It's coming out soon. I've been in studio. I've been working on it.
But I feel like now she's just trolling.
Yeah,
Like
I also
when
think
somebody
so.
posted a
I
picture
do think that. Yeah, I
of
think
like a
that as well.
lookalike, and she was like, "Sis, when's the album coming out?" And I was like, "Even she's doing it now." So I'm like, mm-mm. She's like, "I'm gonna keep this for as long as I can until." Oh gosh. Before we get on to crashing on, like Lassie, I want to ask you, who was your first celebrity crush?
I was waiting for this question. Uh, I thought about it, and I like this is so embarrassing. I have to go all the way back in The Little Mermaid, Prince Eric. As when I
Ah,
was the first time I watched that movie, he is such a ridiculous himbo looking person, but I had such a crush on on that cartoon character, that animated character, and
for me, it's like
it's
when he
like
is
it was like
rolled up sleeves.
it's the
Oh,
hair, yes, exactly.
that white shirt rolled up.
And it's like got like a deep, it's like deep cut down, like V-neck open cut. It's like he's like, yeah, that's a himbo. I like what I see there.
100%. I was like 12 or 13, and I watched Bobby as Rapunzel, and I was like, this
Mm.
skin, I don't know what it is about the skin, but I'm feeling him. But I've watched it since, and I'm like, Karen, what were you thinking? But that's why I will never judge somebody who crashes on a cartoon character. I'm like Nick from Zootopia. Same. I'm like, he's not even a person. He's a fox, but um okay, so let's go to the crashing on. So okay, as our guest, you can start first. What have you been crashing on over the last week?
Well, I have been literally on Friday, I think it was on Friday or Thursday. I came across a new podcast series. It's all out
Mm.
from the team that brought out Serial a couple of years ago, which was that
Mm.
massive podcast about the investigation in the possibly wrongful conviction of a man named Adnan Syed for the murder of his then girlfriend when he was a teenager. It was massive. It
Mm.
was the biggest podcast at the time.
Yeah.
And since then, they've put out 2 more seasons, and they've had a couple of other shows. They were bought out. That podcast team was bought by the New York Times, and this is now their third season. The third season. Well, it's actually not the third season of Zero. It's its own little show called The Trojan Horse Affair, and it's a story from the UK. Essentially, not to give away any spoilers, all the episodes are out. I binged it in 2 days. 8 episodes in total, but it's a story about in Birmingham, which is the second largest city in the UK. There was in Muslim majority area, the schools were doing terribly. Pass rates in this one particular school was at 4%. The pass rate was at 4%. And then a man who was just a man who'd gone to that school actually. It was his former high school. He found out, he saw this what was happening, and he decided to get involved. And he becomes involved in the education sector in his local area over there. Also a Muslim man, and he then, but over in the 18 years he was involved in the education at that in Birmingham schools. He took that particular school, went from a 4% pass rate to a 70% pass rate. He was being lauded by the up to by the prime minister. Then that prime minister was Tony Blair. He was invited to meet Tony Blair to talk about his work. He was like schools educators from like Europe were coming to speak to him, learn what he'd done. He was being invited by the Department of Education to get involved in other schools in the area to replicate the success he had at the school. Everything was going great. Up until at the Birmingham City Council, a photocopied, unverified, incomplete letter, apparently written by one Muslim man to another Muslim man, saying that at what was happening at these schools, talking about there was this 5-step program to quote unquote Islamize the schools so that they could to radicalize these kids, to radicalize the school children, appeared. This letter was most everyone agreed it was a hoax. That this this letter is fake. Yet at the same time, even though mostly everyone agreed on this, it had massive ramifications, right up to changing of national security policy in the United Kingdom, the entire United Kingdom. This man got fired. He was banned from getting involved in education. A whole lot of other teachers were also banned from education because of this letter, which mostly everyone agrees is fake. But yet all these things happen. And so this podcast is trying to find out what happened, what was going on, who wrote the letter. That is their main question that they're trying to find out on the podcast is who wrote the letter and why did they write the letter. And it is a wild story. I'm not going to say who they believe wrote the letter is, but it's someone you would never ever expect. They can't prove it definitively, but all the circumstantial evidence around it is very, very convincing.
Ooh, exciting.
And so that podcast is called The Trojan Horse Affair. You can find it anywhere.
Oh, you told it also so nicely. I was like, in it. I'm like, who did write it? And Julianne, what are you crashing on?
It's been a busy week, so I didn't really watch or consume much, but what we have finally started, after many, many recommendations, is Resident Alien on Showmax. It is, so far, 2 episodes in, hilarious and intriguing and funny. It's basically an alien finds himself in a small American town, and he's perceived as human because he can change his form to look human, except whatever sort of juju alien magic he's using doesn't work on children. But he's like the town, through a series of events, he becomes the town doctor. And so it sets it up because now the kids are like, because like the kid comes in for something and then he's trying to kill the kid because the kid knows that he's an alien. And then it's hilarious. So yeah, like I'm keen to see where it goes. And I know they're releasing the 2nd season soon. So yeah, Resident Alien.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, like the premise is so cool.
I'm just like, and he becomes a town doctor. I'm like, what? And the Virgin River.
Yeah, but also because he's an alien, like he learns to be human by watching TV shows. And like the TV show that he watches to be human is like Law and Order SVU. And so like,
oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I think it's a really, like the first few episodes in, I'm like, I can see it's got such breadth and depth with where they can take it. So I'm keen to see what they do with it. And you, Karen?
For me, I've also not finished much this week, but I've been watching a lot of like content from like the nepotism kids, like celebrity kids content, but like the older kids. So I've watched like on TikTok when they do that trend where like y'all were raised by Chad and I was raised by, and then they show like their parents is like a famous person. Like I think I was talking before about like the genuine one and Naz's daughter. And then I'm just watching to see like what's going on in their lives, and like Damon Wayans Jr.'s daughters on TikTok, and I'm just curious to see what they say and what they do. Sylvester Stallone's. And then I was following on Twitter Warren Beatty and Annette Bening's daughter, but then she locked her account, but I got in before she locked it. And I'm so glad, because now I'm like, because she doesn't have like a lot of followers. She has like maybe, I want to say like 2,000 followers. Okay. So she doesn't have a lot, but she, like, I noticed her account, but she went like sort of viral because she's sort of also like a film Twitter person. She's like very into, I don't know if she's like wants to be a screenwriter or whatever. They all do. But then she was like, oh, she's so obsessed with Elliot Gould. And there was this picture of Elliot Gould and somebody else. And she's like, she didn't even notice that her own dad was in the picture. It was like Elliot Gould young, Warren Beatty young, and I feel like it was like James Caan or someone like that. And so obviously I noticed, I'm like, oh my gosh, Warren Beatty. I love Annette Bening. Like, I will die for Annette Bening. I love her so much. So I'm like, I just want to know what it's like. And then sometimes she tweets to like her brothers. I followed him too. And then they like talk about like their like family like type. She makes jokes and she's very funny. And I'm just like, I'm just like, I'm happy that I'm on the side. I'm just hoping that one day she'll like notice me and follow me back, even though she's like 12 probably. I don't know, maybe like 19. I feel like she's an adult, but like very young adult. But yeah, so that's basically what I've been consuming, just like celebrity kid stuff. Not North, because that's baby stuff. But I mean, like the older kids.
Speaking of celebrity kids, did you hear that story about Dakota Johnson locking people in a coffee shop?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I was dying. Oh my God.
Dakota Johnson apparently was filming something for Vogue, that one of those like those YouTube things for Vogue. So she goes to a coffee shop in New York, and then she wants to like with a film crew or something. I don't know. It was just a very weird situation. There's a guy in the queue. He's the one who tweeted this. He tweeted out that like the one time I got locked in a coffee shop by Dakota Johnson. So then he can't hear the interaction between Dakota Johnson and the barrister behind the counter. But he imagines that he thinks that Dakota Johnson wanted to go behind the counter to make her own coffee for this Vogue thing. But the guy's like, no, we're not allowed to do that. We're like a chain. It's like you going to Steers and then saying like, no, I want to make my own burger. They're like, no, we're Steers. We're a company. There are rules about these things. So then Dakota Johnson like leaves the coffee shop. It doesn't sound as though she stormed out or anything like that. She just walks, she leaves, and then she accepts that she's not allowed. She did have some kind of interaction with the barrister where he said, no, you can't do that. But then she leaves. But when she leaves, she pulls a rope out of her bag, ties the door closed of the coffee shop. So the barrister and all the people in the coffee shop are locked inside, and then she just walks away. She locks them using this rope that she had. She had a rope in her bag. And then the people in the shop had to like call random people who were walking past the coffee shop to untie the rope. It was just this random thing that happened.
The best part is he posts a picture of her as she's walking out the coffee shop and she has a smile on her face. And apparently it's not the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. The more Dakota Johnson content I consume, the more I'm like, something is off there. That is too wild.
And the limes, you know, the limes
when
story.
when she lied
about the limes.
Why?
It was when she was filming that particular thing. That's when she did this whole thing of locking people in the coffee shop.
No, man. Like, was she high? But what's going on?
There was like more than one. I was on Reddit and I was reading up about it, and there was like more than one story, and they were like, it was like a couple of months apart, and of her locking people in the coffee shop. What are you doing, Dakota? Oh my God. I feel like she has that kind of like, I don't care attitude. Like, nothing is gonna happen to me. Like, as long as I don't do anything criminal, like I can do whatever the fuck I want to. Like I can call out whoever I want to. I can lie. I can do whatever. I mean, what they're gonna do.
But I think what was interesting me in that story is that she had a rope in her bag. Who carries a rope in their bag? Why?
I said 50 days, 50 Shades of Grey thing that like never left her. She took that from the set. But on that note, thank you so much for joining us, Lassie. Like, this was lovely. I had a good laugh.
No, thank you. I had such a great time as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
One more thing. We will be hosting our first ever
live in person Crashing On movie night on the 24th of February at Ster Kinekor Cavendish in Cape Town. We'll be watching the film Blacklight, which is the new Liam Neeson action thriller, and it follows Travis Block, played by Liam, who is a government operative coming to terms with his shadowy past. When he discovers a plot targeting US citizens, Block finds himself in the crosshairs of the FBI director he once helped protect. In order to be one of the Crashing On listeners at the screening and meet us and have a good time, go to crashingonpodcast.com/competitions and enter your details. It's going to be a fun night and we are so excited to meet you. This is the trailer for Blacklight.
One day you wake up and realize you're not sure who the good guys are anymore.
You're a federal agent involved in a secret FBI program.
Off the books.
What kind of bad stuff do you do?
Breaking and entering. Physical coercion. You name it, I've probably done it.
Murder?
Not on my menu.
Grandpa!
Gabe, I've been thinking. Maybe it's time I hang it up.
No, Travis, not an option.
I know I wasn't a great father, but I'd like to be the best grandfather I can be.
Natalie doesn't need a fixer like you. I've been writing about the story for over a year. The United States government is killing innocent civilians under the guise of protecting democracy.
Under whose orders?
The director of the FBI. How many more have to die for you to stop looking the other way?
You need to come clean, Gabe.
You're confused about our relationship. You are my weapon. You work for me.
Count me out.
You show me a little gratitude if you want a normal life.
My end is now. Where's my family? If I find out you had anything to do with my granddaughter disappearing, you're gonna need more men.
You'll be finished before the day is over.
Everything I did was for you!
Are you really gonna shoot me, Travis?
Yes, I will.
Grandpa, are you a good guy?
I wanna be.
Me, you can find at Karen Welby on Instagram, at Karen Welbys with an S on Twitter, and sign up for my newsletter, Wildest Dreams, at wildestdreams.substack.com. The podcast can be found at Crashing On Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find us at What's IGN Crashing On YouTube, and you can find more information about this and all our other episodes on our website, crashingonpodcast.com. Send any feedback to mail@crashingonpodcast.com, and you can send us voice notes at +27 78 362 2566. Join our Facebook group, Crashing On Club, where we chat about the show, celebrity news, recommendations, the whole shebang. The show is produced by me, Karen, as well as Rebecca Barches and Leanne Phillipson. The show is edited by Rebecca Barches. Our logo was designed by Nathifa Maroof, and the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others to find the show. We'll be back next week with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then.